Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of the Smashing Skull Sessions. This week I'm absolutely thrilled to bring on one of, I believe, and is post-rock's finest bands at the moment. They're incredible. They hail from Bozeman in Montana. I have with me the two of the founding members, which is CJ Blessum and Wilson Raska. Guys, thanks so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
No bother at all. It was always a plan to get you on the show at some stage. So look, it's great to actually have two of you there now because you would be both, you're founding members of the band basically, aren't you? I know, Wilson, you took a step away from the music side, but you're still involved, heavily involved.
Yep. I play guitar on the first 6 albums and now do primarily art, video, photo, all the media work for the band.
Oh, yeah. And just as you mentioned there, six albums. I mean, you've 10 albums already, am I right? Like, what a catalog. Yeah. It's incredible. Like, CJ, how did you start out? How did Ranges become Ranges?
Like 2012, he and I were working together with Thousand Arms at the time, and just talking about music and wanting to get back into doing music because we had been in bands together in the early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Right.
So it was just like, yeah, let's start a band and let's not do vocals, try an instrumental thing and just be a studio project and just kind of do it and just kind of write music that is inspired by where we live. And so that's how it started. And we got Mark on drums because I worked with him at the time too, a separate job. And I was the origin of it.
And tell me,
go ahead.
We've a bad line here. Is it bad for you on your side? No, it's a bit jumpy there for me. The quality of the picture.
All right, see if that's any better.
Yeah, we'll carry on from there. So,
okay.
Yeah, so you were both in bands previously. So before Ranges, it wasn't the first band for you.
No, we've been playing in bands since 2004 together. Kind of a series of hardcore bands, and then various forms of rock, and eventually found the post-rock genre and discovered there was a lot more going on there than either of us knew initially.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting, actually. Like, why post-rock? You know, as you said, you post-hardcore, you were whatever you were listening to playing in before. What was the attraction to post-rock in the first place, do you think?
I guess I was a fan of Pelican and Red Sparrows, and those were a couple of the post-rock bands that I knew about and didn't really know about the broader scene, but there was a lot of, I don't know, we kind of dabbled in some post-metal bands occasionally, and this just seemed like the right way to go for this project.
Yeah. CJ, you'd agree? Same thing? It's just, had you an interest in post-rock bands before?
Just kind of through Wilson, just some instrumental bands that he had kind of played and I'd heard, but I never really grabbed onto it. And I don't know what it was, probably Explosions in the Sky that I started to listen to, and Just Will Destroy You. And those kind of turned me on to the whole thing. And then just the idea of not having vocals kind of seemed to be an easier way to do music. There's less need for an ego in the band that can sometimes be in the vocalist.
Yeah, I get you. I suppose if I said this, sorry, Wilson, go ahead.
Oh, I guess we've been doing concept albums since our very first band. And so the artwork and the concept plays a big part in the album. So with the post-rock, letting the art do more of the speaking. Exactly. So taking the place of the lyrics, which I think we've been able to articulate fairly well.
Yeah, fair point, I suppose, Wilson. The artwork does tell the story almost, it gives you an indication where the story is going to go. And the music just basically follows, and it's up to the person listening to follow that journey, I suppose, I suppose going back to where you're from, that's Montana. No, I've never been to the States much. I've definitely not been to Bozeman, Montana, but your music, I think from what I've read and what I've overlooked around the area, it's a very rugged landscape, am I right? It's mountainous. And has that had a big bearing on your sound and your influences?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, it's wide open spaces, but rugged mountains, and so there's that contrast between the wide open and the big mountains. So
the first album, Absaroka, is named after a mountain range right in our area, and so the initial idea was to write a soundtrack to where we were driving, just
Okay.
around the valley here and around the state. And I think we started there, and then we've really expanded the subject matter. And
Yeah.
but it's always like trying to aspire to something big. But I mean, the Ascensionist has a mountain on the cover. It's very emblematic of that, I think.
It is, yeah, and that's where I was probably going to go to next. I don't want to be skipping all the albums you've done before it. Like, you have so much, like I love all the stuff that you've released. Like, but for me, The Ascensionist was the post-rock album of its time when it came out in 2017. I mean, it was huge. Like, I mean, for me anyway, it hit me hard. You know, did you know you had something special in this album?
I think, yeah, because it was like really the first album we did with a full band. Because before that, I guess Gods of the Copper Beheadings was our first album with a full lineup where we had an actual bass player and more guitars. But then The Ascensionist was like, we're going to try to be a real band and do like get together and write in a room and do that, get on the road and play shows. And so I think for the band, it was definitely, this is our first album in a lot of ways. So for it to be received so well was pretty cool.
Yes, I mean, it got unbelievable feedback, didn't it? I mean, it resonated with everybody. Like, it seemed to really hit the mark.
Yeah, pretty all out on the packaging. And It was the first album it was a double gatefold 12-inch vinyl. It was our first foray into that. So we really wanted.
Yeah, I mean, like, that picture paints 1,000 words. Like, you don't need lyrics when you have something like this. And when you bring it with the music, you know, it's unbelievable. But Wilson, can I ask you then why you took a step back from the musical side at this stage? So, because, you know, from what I've sort of heard and what I've seen of the band, it was really gathering momentum, you know, and this album was, for me, the big album. Maybe that's just because it's the one that I found first. But why did you take a step back?
Well, the initial lineup we had 3 guitarists, and the stuff I was doing was kind of a lot of very minimal textural, you know, swells and kind of background sounds. And I think CJ and Joey were both far better guitar players as far as skill level and ability to do the pedal mathematics as far as. So I think a lot of it was realizing that the parts I was playing could easily be looped or put in backing tracks or something like that. But I've always wanted to do artwork for bands, do the album covers, all that. But I think the rise in social media and the need to have photo and video and content is super important. I think
it is a huge part of it all. Like, listen, you know, like the artwork, as I just showed there, the artwork, I mean, if that doesn't capture someone's imagination, they may never even get to the music. You know what I mean? It has a big impact in it. It doesn't mean that you're not a busy man though within the band just because you don't play in the band. I mean, you're involved full time, like, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on tour. I'm filming. We just did a European tour. I filmed all the behind the scenes of that, and we've done a pretty good job of documenting our process with every album. So, it's a lot of capturing the band, and that way the band doesn't have to step out of doing what they do to document themselves doing it. And I think it's kind of a hindrance with a lot of bands, remembering you have to do the social media, you have to do the content, but there's usually somebody in the band that isn't in the photo. So I figured I have a background in film and photography, so this is an opportunity to really flex that muscle a little bit, I guess. Yeah,
like, there is a very cinematic sort of side to Ranges, I suppose, and that's where you come in. That's where your talents are. Like, as you said, documenting stuff there. I've watched a lot of it on YouTube, like, and it is great to look back and see the stuff, because it's maybe, as you said, CJ, and then just don't have the time to take a step back from the music and try and record the stuff. So he's making life easy for you, CJ, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There was a moment where we weren't sure if he was going to go to Europe. And so I was panicking, like, how are we going to capture what he does? It's such a valuable part of what we do. So like, it's overlooked, I think, but without him doing what he does, like, we would not be where we are.
Exactly. Tell me, as we're talking about the tour that you've just done in Europe, how did you find it? I did catch you at Dunkfest, which a fucking incredible show as it was back in 2018, I think it was. I saw you as well. But how was the European tour in general?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. It was something we wanted to do in 2020, and we were all set to do it, and then the whole COVID thing happened.
Of course.
So it was every year since trying to
waiting patiently. Yeah.
So to finally get it to happen and to do it was really great. And there was a lot of build up for it and anticipation, and I mean, it's kind of just a whirlwind.
Well, yeah. Was it tiring? Was it draining on you? I mean, it was a big tour. Like, it wasn't something.
I don't think the tour itself wasn't. I think the waiting to get to Europe was draining, and just wondering when we're going to be able to do it. So to get there and start to do it, it was actually pretty relaxed and a lot of fun. And to go out with Justin and guys, that was a lot of fun. They were a good band to tour with.
What about highlights, lads? Have you highlights from that European tour? Moments that stand out above the rest? Maybe on stage, or just maybe the city that you're in, whatever.
Ghent and Dunk Festival, that was definitely the pinnacle thing for me. That was a lot of fun. But really, every little city we went to was great, had its own little.
And did you get tight?
Copenhagen was great.
Yeah, I played a colossal weekend there, and that was a great festival. Saw a lot of bands there. But that city itself, we managed to have a day off there. Nice. And it was a great city.
See, that's the thing, isn't it? To have a day off is like a treat in itself, because I speak to a lot of bands there now, and they're trying to compact a tour into sort of 10 or 15 nights with maybe one day's break in between, which obviously probably has to be done for financial reasons. Like, but you miss out on so much, don't you? Because you're hitting these beautiful cities, like you mentioned, Copenhagen. Like, and did you get to see much of the cities that you hit, or was it basically that case of land, play, and move?
I think a little more than times before. Definitely more so than the previous tour. I tried to take the initiative to load everything in, and then I just walk around the city and try to get some footage and try to capture the environment that we were in. We made a whole tour behind the scenes video that we're working on currently. So realizing last time, I don't think I shot nearly enough. And so it's like, you couldn't really tell you were in Paris or you were in Nottingham, or there wasn't a lot of that supplemental footage. So I really wanted to capture that this time and get some of the older architecture and some of the flavor of the countries we were in.
Nice. Yeah. And is that sort of a personal thing, lads, or is it something you want to share with everybody online now when you get it done, or is it just something for yourselves to look back on and say, fuck it, look what we achieved, look where we've been?
It's both, I think. We're not going to tell the official release date of it, but we're working on it. We have a lot of content from that tour that we will be putting out in the near future. So,
good. No more than that. You're not going to give anything away there, but no dates.
Very soon.
I suppose I wanted, again, as I said, The Ascensionist for me was the album that I found you really on. It's something special about that album, and I think even looking back on it now, and I still play it regularly enough at home, do you look back at that album and see it as, I won't say perfect, but are you very, very happy with what you put down, or do you sometimes look to know, because you are developing as a band all the time? Like, I mean, Babel moved you on another step, and Cardinal wins again. But when you look back in The Ascensionist, is it sort of like a milestone for you, something that you can say,
I think so. I think each album's got its own little story that the band knows about. Like, The Ascensionist was definitely got us to places we didn't think would get us. So that was, I mean, the significance of that album in my mind. Where Babel was, we spent so much time working on that album and writing and finding it and just really going after it. And then we went to El Paso to record it. And so that was something we never done. We always just recorded here. Okay. So that was fun to do.
The momentum on that one kind of got cut short by the COVID thing. And I mean, The Ascensionist took us on 2 US tours and a European tour. And I think it was definitely a milestone achievement. And looking back, it really, I don't know, there is something that was captured in that musically that is, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the quintessential Ranges. I don't know, zeitgeist.
I'd agree with you. I agree with you. I think that's the album that will be looked back at 10, 15 years time, as you know, when you talk about great post-rock albums, that album will always be there. It's one of those, and that's taking nothing away from what you've achieved since. It's just that I think it was something special at that time, 2017, when it came out. You know, really, the atmosphere in it was something else. You know, going on to Babel, then I followed this album. Like, there's just so much. There's so much involved in this album. I didn't even know where to start writing my notes here, because I had to go into biblical fucking storylines to get some concept of it. But can you shed some light on it? Why this concept and where it stemmed from?
I think we were probably talking about this concept before Ranges, as far as just a story and an idea. It's such a big, I don't know, it's such an epic story with so little written about it. Like, it's wide open interpretation. And I guess we had been kicking that idea around for a long time and just weren't equipped to really pull that off. But I think with what we did with the Ascensionists, we felt a lot more confident in our abilities to pull off the scope of it. And it was, the idea of it is the kind of excess of culture and tying together Babel and Babylon, different kind of biblical allegories. But part of the idea was to do too much, because it was supposed to be this, like, the concept was to be overwhelmed, I guess.
Okay.
And so I think we totally pulled that off.
That was achieved. Have no fucking doubt. That was achieved. Yeah.
I never want to do anything like that again. But I'm glad we did it, and that's documented, and we can try other concepts. But as far as the grandiosity of the grandiosity of building a tower, I feel like we emulated that in all the content we put out for it. And like you said, went to El Paso to record that with Chris Common. That was a big step up as far as the music recording and production as well.
But like, CJ, you're so hands-on with your own music anyway. I mean, you're involved in engineering of it and the producing of it.
Yeah.
If there was ever a hard-working band that I could sort of explain to somebody, it would be yourselves, because I mean, anyone to take on a project or a concept like Babel, I mean, and for what was involved in it, it must have taken up so much of your time, lads. You know?
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, Jesus, take aside just the recording of it. I mean, the story, the packaging, the cassettes, you name it, the Confusion Tongue, the records that followed. It's a credit to you. Like, it's an unbelievable feat of music and everything else that go, artwork, photography, you name it. Musically, though, this album, I think it did take a step in the right direction after the Ascensions. It was, maybe, I don't know, crisp or clean are the right words to use, but it was definitely more polished. Would I be right in saying that? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we took a lot of time just analyzing every little section of every song and working on it and just putting it through the ringer to get it to where everybody was happy with it.
Yeah.
I mean, almost to the point where, like, was worked on too hard in some instances. Yeah. Whereas the Ascensionist was very raw and just written pretty quickly and recorded quickly. It was really natural.
So it came right out. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Wilson, go ahead. No, go ahead.
It came right after started writing it, as soon as we came back from Europe the first time and playing the Dunk tent. And it was such a big stage and sound and the lights and the audience. And I think the mentality for writing Babel was to also write it to be a very live, energetic, girthy.
Nice word.
Yeah. I think there was like that production that I think Chris did on it with the engineering. Like, we went to him specifically for that sound. We liked what he had gotten from a lot of bands he had worked with previously.
Yeah. Like you knew what you wanted basically when you went in to record this album. You weren't just feeling your way through it. Like, you had a game plan, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was all mapped out. So,
and again, as on YouTube, I went through the clips of the creation of the album. I was looking at the short video edits that you would have had in it, and it just shows the hard work that goes into it, and shows how dedicated you are to it all. You know. Again, how do you feel about that album now? when was that album? 3 years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I think the whole experience of writing, recording, and putting it out, and then touring, and then just what happened with the world after that album came out, like the whole thing is just, I like how it all went. Like, not everything went perfectly. There were a lot of things that were like, what the heck happened? And I mean, things we didn't foresee, obviously, but I like the album story. I think it really adds to the whole experience for me on a personal level with the album. So I love the album, and it was great, but I mean, there's a lot of downsides to it too, because it was tough.
Yeah, it's a good point. That building, I mean, the allegory of the tower is trying to build the perfect tower, and then it, smitten or falling apart, or so there were those elements built into our process of doing the thing, which is very like synchronistically important. So I think we pulled off. I think we achieved something pretty cool. But I'm content, even though I cut short. But that's how it had to be, I think.
Like I said, I know I don't want to be dwelling too much on the Ascensionists, but and as I said, that's a milestone for people, I suppose, when they come to hear the band ranges. But I think Babel is an album like that deserves so much more attention, and I think it maybe just fell at a bad time during, when COVID came and you couldn't probably tour it properly and you couldn't showcase it, and more as much as it deserved. So I just
did have that.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Oh, the Confusion of Tongues, where we had the 3 songs come after, that was already built in. So COVID happened, nobody could go to a studio and record, but we already had content that we were able to release throughout that next year. So it wasn't the worst thing, the way that we mapped that out. It was totally confusing and a lot of work, but it's happened at the right time, I think.
Yeah. I suppose once you've all that done and you've the touring done of Babel, you must have been straight to work again, as we for Cardinal Winds. Was there any break at all? Did you take time out?
There was a weird stretch of time. I guess it was 2020, just with COVID, when they were shut down, and living in Montana and smaller community. I mean, we didn't really feel the effects of the whole pandemic. So we were still together to work on music, but it was just a strange energy that was really difficult to work with. We were just kind of stuck because we had all these plans and they got canceled. And so it was like, well, what do? We just put this album out and we're going to do Europe and tour on it. And we can't do that. So do we work on new music? And eventually we got to the point where we just kind of really forced out an album. Like, it was, Cardinal Winds was a tough writing process. And as a whole, but it was a grind that I think once again it was worth the effort, and got us to go. Yeah,
you're saying tough in the sense that you didn't have as big a plan before you started as you would have had for the previous albums.
I think that's part of it, and just the different personalities in the band dealing with what was going on in the world differently. It was just a struggle. It was tough.
And I think it turned out to be its own unique album as well. We did everything here ourselves.
Yeah,
as far as recording,
Chris mixed it.
Right. Yeah, so it was a different scenario for recording as well. But I think CJ's made exponential improvements in the recording engineering process over the years. So I think it's.
Like, I think you're always learning, like, aren't you? You're learning as you go. I mean, that's the nature of the game. Like, but again, it came out fantastic as well. CJ, Jesus, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, another fantastic album.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with it and how it was received. I mean, I think it exceeded expectation. I mean, I think there was we weren't really sure what was going to happen with it, because it was just put it out and it sold really well on vinyl, which was really cool.
Like, it's a big, I suppose every band must feel this, like, but after the Ascensionist and Babel, you must be saying, fuck it, how are we going to keep this momentum going? How can we create something as good, and keep people's attention? But I'd say, again, you've achieved it. I think, lads, it's another cracking album. Have you a favourite track on the album? Is there one in particular that G said, this is the one that'll hook him?
I felt like it was Deluge, the last track.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
One, but I don't know if we've gotten a ton of feedback regarding which song was people's favorite, but
I suppose, your music is sort of is you play it as an album, really, don't you? Every Ranges album, I don't think there's you don't go in to play one track. I think when you sit down for a Ranges album, you listen to it in its entirety as best you can. Look, I'm going to give everybody here an opportunity to hear some of your music anyway. Obviously, I picked a different track. Sorry, no, CJ. I'm going to go with Solace from Cardinal Winds. Guys, have a listen to this. Epic post-rock, guys. Just take a listen. Okay, guys, so there you have it. That's Solace from the album Cardinal Winds from the Mighty Ranges, lads. Hit Bandcamp, check out all their albums. There's two behind me here. I've already mentioned The Essentialist and, again, the back catalogue. Just have a look. Guys, I want to go away from recording for a small bit, if you don't mind. Just maybe a bit of touring. Like the post-rock scene, as I mentioned to many people already, there's pockets of them, of fans all over the world. Yeah. Small pockets, but it's worldwide. Where do you find the feedback coming from? Is there certain countries in the world that you're saying, fuck it, we're big here, this is mad?
Man, I'm not sure.
I guess we're big in Belgium.
I would think so at this stage. Yeah.
That's probably the greatest concentration of post-rock hardcore fans that, they've collected the albums. This time there were people wearing our shirts from 4 years ago, which is totally surreal to see, but I think a lot more support in Europe than in the US, just based on our kind of limited touring. But
have you interest in going further afield than Europe and the US, or have you been already? Would you looking to go, I don't know, China, further afield?
It's just logistically trying to figure out how to make that happen. I mean, there's a lot that goes into just going to Europe. It's a lot of logistics, and
I can only imagine,
expensive. So, but we're always open to whatever we're going to be taking next. So just kind of
it's not a sort of a necessity for you guys. You don't want to say, right, we want to conquer this country. We need to get to here. It's a case of logistics, basically. Finances.
We needed Europe a second time. That was the big thing for me. Is like, need to do that again. So now that that's done, I feel pretty content with what we've done traveling wise. So we'll see what comes next.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you enjoy touring anyway, as a whole, like the whole idea of it? Are you studio guys?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Usually I do all the driving, but this last time in Europe, we had Sean Oliver come along and drive.
That's right, yeah.
Which was the best thing ever, to not have to have any driving responsibilities.
Jesus, CJ, you had a good old time. You would Wilson doing all the film work, and you would someone else do the driving. Just sit back and play guitar, huh?
I can just stay home.
Exactly, yeah. But again, touring, like, I mean, it is draining, I'm assuming, like, it's tiring stuff, but you can look back at it and say, wow, look what we've achieved. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that having somebody do the video and be able to capture the whole thing, because in the moment, like, it's a lot of sitting around waiting to get to where you're going, and then you load in and you play, and then you wait until you leave the next day. And I mean, it's not very glamorous, but when you can just get snapshots of every day and you compile it and you can look at it, it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
You want to do it again when you see, the fun parts.
Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of the documenting is largely for us to be able to look back on. There were certain albums we didn't do documentation. There was one of our old hardcore bands. We were so selling out, doing promo, any of that. It was just no photo, no video, take the labels off your amps. It was like it was extreme, which, worked for the ethos of the band, but it would have been great to have some like documentation of what we did with that band. So
it would be nice to look back.
Yeah, we learned from that, and now it's, if you have the technology, I shot everything on my phone. Wow. I mean, to be able to do that is incredible, and just pull it out, capture moments as they happen.
Exactly. So,
it's largely for us. And if other people want to see what we do, that's even better.
But I think people do want to see that type of thing. People want to see what life is like. It's not all glamour, I suppose.
No.
Right.
I suppose I want to go on to 1,000 Arms as well. I want to spend a bit of time talking about that, because it's such a big entity, right? I mean, I have written down here, it's a record label, a distribution hub, an online marketplace, screen printing, graphic design. This baby is huge, and it's been there pre-ranges. Am I right? Did you mention that, Wilson, earlier?
Yeah, I had started it as a freelance design company, and it it went through a lot of years of being this ambiguous, kind of amorphous moniker. And then we started the screen printing in 2011. And then it really kind of took hold, and we used the screen printing to supplement all the merch we were doing for our band. Then to push the band out there, started the record label and started the vinyl distribution, that partnership with Dunk.
Yeah.
And so we've done a lot of things, and what you listed there, we've tried a lot of other things that failed or didn't work. And so I think we're pretty content with that. I guess what we do with 1,000 Arms, and now it's trying to bring that back together and really promote that as a cohesive brand.
I mean, like you have that, and you're running a band and running 1,000 Arms together. I mean, the time just takes up. There is no spare time, I'd say, is there? I mean, you must love what you do to say that you spend so much time at it.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that we can both call it our job. It's our full-time job. It's 1,000 Arms. So, it's not working a 9 to 5 and then doing all this stuff. So it's
how busy is the screen printing going then? I mean, are you printing for lots of bands?
Yeah, a lot of bands and then a lot of local businesses too. So we're just kind of open to business for anybody, but the more music bands we can work with, the better, because that's just kind of where our passion is.
Yeah. You mentioned Dunk as well there, guys. There's quite a big affiliation with yourselves and Dunk. You seem to have clicked. You get each other.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. We just have the same mentality, and we just kind of clicked with those guys right out of the gates, and it's been a fun working relationship for the last few years.
They have a tremendous work ethic and ethos about what we do. The first time he and I went to Dunk Festival, it wasn't with Ranges. We were just representing 1,000 Arms, but really just going to this festival. And we're totally blown away at the vibe and the people and the community. And we really had no idea who post-rock fans were doing this in Bozeman, Montana. And you go there and you see all the people. It's like, oh, I know all these people. Like, I know who these people are. There's a lot of shared background in the hardcore punk rock DIY. And I think that how Dunk runs things is just so incredible that we've taken a lot of clues from them, and I think it's developed into a really cool partnership.
It has done. I mean, I suppose anyone who's dealt with Dunk, whether it be through the festival or through purchasing records, it's a very family orientated sort of a feeling about that business, like and just like yourselves, you're the same. I mean, I suppose that's where the mutual respect and the mutual whatever you call it comes to mind, I suppose. 1,000 Arms, where do you see it going next, lads? I know you were touching on maybe there's more to come. Is there more to come?
Yeah, we've got a couple of things we're working on. Just really trying to grow the record label for sure. And doing that. And I think there's some possibility with working more with the vinyl and kind of working with Dunk pressing and expanding what we can provide here in the US through them.
I think it's taking our skill set and a lot of what we've done with Ranges and trying to do that for more. I don't think we've really articulated that as well with the label that we'd like to start doing in the future, doing more with the deluxe release or limited edition prints or shirts. Or I think we've gotten a great response from people in the Ranges universe, as far as people that have dug into kind of our more underground releases, those cassettes. Some of the more esoteric stuff. We have the calendars, we have the currency, all that. And that stuff's gotten great response. So I think we can really offer those to other bands that really want to like flesh out their brand or the listening experience that people have. Yeah,
because they are collector items, don't they? They become collector items, all these things. They may be small, but they mean a lot to people. I mean, I don't know, you probably do know, but Jesse Green there, I'd noticed there on Facebook there. I mean, when I see his collection, like, it just blows my mind every time, and he's still adding to it, and I think that's the attraction of Ranges. It's something that you have, so you got people involved and really interested in more than just the music. I don't know how I describe it, but it's just so much bigger than just the music. I suppose. Shout out to Jesse there.
He has things I don't even have. Right. He made them and he has. I don't have them. So it's amazing.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So Dunk Festival again, lads. Are you looking to get there at some stage? Is it in the plans? I know it's not easy, as you said, to up sticks and move to Europe for a tour, but is it something you want to do again?
I think so. At some point. I don't know when, but
if we get the invite,
for sure. It's so much fun.
The invites are coming. I'd say there's no fear there. It was, and I can't wait to see you again. And as I said, I've seen you twice already at Dunk, and it's been incredible. But just a quick question actually on that, because I know you did a big tour in Europe, as you said, and you're at a few other festivals, Colossal Weekend and everything else. What's so special about the Dunk Festival, do you think, that makes it the European festival to be at? It's not sheer size, because I mean it's only maybe 800-900 people attend. Is it just the atmosphere,
that
friendliness, community?
Family. Like you said, the family oriented way that Dunk runs things. It just feels like home in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And that's the first time we went, and it was just mind blowing. The experience is mind blowing. It's like just coming home and telling people, we got to go. It's the coolest thing in the world. And even moving locations, I think they kept that vibe.
It's amazing. They did actually add to it. Was I won't say it was a risk, but it was going to be interesting to see people's feedback from it. But I thought it went down a treat. I was delighted with the setup. Ghent is a beautiful city,
Yeah.
Can I ask what's next for Ranges, lads, musically? Have you started any work on any new material?
Yeah, we're dabbling. We've got some ideas for next year. So there will be.
That's all I want to say. Dabbling.
The next thing is all the content we shot from tour. We've just kind of had our heads down on assembling all that, and there should be some good stuff coming here in the next couple months. But
is that going to be? Is all that stuff that you've recorded, Wilson, going to be dropped onto YouTube, or are you maybe putting together some kind of a DVD or some kind of some packaging of some kind?
Yeah, probably digital initially. We'll see if there's a physical release in the works, but yeah, we've got a lot planned out for at least the next year and a half.
Okay.
So we'll see how we decide to go about that. Every album we like to try something a little bit different as far as how it's released, how it's teased. If you do pre-orders, if you don't, if you do. So I think there's still a lot of potential to release things in unique ways.
Excellent, great stuff. Before I leave you go, lads, I have 3 questions that I ask all my guests at the end of it, and I give you a heads up, I hope, 2 days ago on it. First question, lads, if you could do a cover version or any interpretation of a song from the past, what would it be? Have you any ideas? Have you ever thought about it within Ranges?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I was kind of stuck on that question for a minute, but it's like, the Cranberries Zombie. I've always wanted to cover that. It's got a cool song. But then I wonder, like, without the vocals, like, does that song have the impact? I don't know.
Yeah, Dolores had a unique voice, so
to replicate that anyway. But
the riffs are huge in it. I'd say you could do an amazing job with it. Yeah, great track. Actually, there was a local thing on an Irish sort of a compilation of the top 50 Irish songs in history, and that came in as number 1 actually only last night.
So, oh wow,
yeah, super track. Nice call, awesome. Nice call. Wilson, would you agree, or would you have had something else in mind?
Yeah, I don't really. I don't consider myself equipped to speak on the musical end of it.
Come on, you've had 4 albums behind you. You have to.
I don't know if you could cover an album cover, but we'll see what I could do.
If you could play on stage with a band, past or present, any size band, who or what would they be?
I think Brutus.
Nice.
Solely as an excuse just to see them live.
Yeah.
I've been able to do that. So.
yeah. Their new album again just dropped as well, which is
great.
Class. Yeah. Wilson, I'll throw the question to you, but you don't have to answer it if you don't want.
I'd say
like you did pick up a guitar, so you have been. Surely you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cult of Luna. I think initially it was ISIS. ISIS was just kind of the pinnacle art rock band that I don't change the way I think about music in a lot of ways. So, I'd probably say ISIS.
Great stuff. And last question, I'll just throw it out there. What's the last album you listened to? What was the last thing you played before you came on to see them?
So yesterday was Halloween, and I was driving my girls to go trick or treating.
Yeah,
and so I put on Rob Zombie's first album for that and introduced them to that. It's not nearly as intense as I remember it being when I was in high school.
Probably not. No, I don't. There's a visual thing about Rob Zombie too. You need to see him as well as hear him, don't you?
Yeah,
to get the full effect. Yeah. What about yourself, Wilson?
Yeah, I guess the last album for me driving to work today was Clutch, the new Sunrise on Slaughter Beach.
Nice.
Solid rock and roll album.
Yeah, solid out. Great stuff, guys. Come here. That's all the questions I have for you. I just want to thank you so much for coming on, because look, I know I appreciate people taking time out to come on to my show. So Wilson, CJ, thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best with the release of the videos, and obviously with the hopefully new album in the not too distant future.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Cheers, guys. And again, I'll probably catch you on tour hopefully as well at some stage. Maybe another dunk journey maybe for yourselves.
Sounds good.
Let's make it happen.
Great stuff. Thanks, guys. So there you have it, lads. Wilson and CJ from Ranges. Check out their music. Check out their Bandcamp page. If you're a vinyl lover and if you're a collector of everything, go check out their stuff. There's plenty to keep you occupied. That's it, guys. Thanks to Richie from the Metal Cell podcast, who always edits and produces the show. See you on a couple weeks' time. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.